Hey everybody, welcome to a new look edition of the Sports Rush. It is a Saturday and there's been a lot happening over the last 48 hours. Haven't had a chance to jump on and talk about it. Let's do that today and welcome to it. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell so you can get alerts when we've got new information going on. Crazy week when you look at Major League Baseball. It ended up being a pretty active trade deadline day on Thursday, and one of the most active was AJ Preller of the San Diego Padres. I think the Padres probably the winner of the day, but unfortunately for minor league organizations like the TinCaps, that probably means they end up being the big loser because a lot of the really high level talent that was spread throughout the minor leagues has now been traded. And that included the number one Padres prospect, number three in baseball, Leo DeVries. He was traded as part of the deal to get Matt Miller out of the athletics organization. And so Leo DeVries ends up in Lansing, where by the end of the night on Thursday, he was starting and leading off for the Lansing Lugnuts. Also, later in the day, the Padres informed the TinCaps that Brandon Butterworth had been part of a trade. And so Butters, who was just the hero less than 24 hours earlier when he had an extra inning base hit to knock in Leo DeVries, ironically, to win a game in a walk-off, and Brandon Butterworth, who would have been the shortstop with Leo DeVries being traded. And then he was put in at short on the lineup card, and then he gets traded. So the Tin Caps were to their third shortstop in the lineup on that day, and it ends up being Ryan Jackson, who's got experience playing at short. Nothing against Ryan Jackson, but clearly when you miss your or lose your double play combination in the matter of just a few hours, it's quite the hit because you don't have players that are able to just jump right in. There aren't any flights from Lake Elsinore that get to Fort Wayne in the matter of 2 or 3 hours. So while Leo DeVries was able to play for Lansing that very night, the Tin Caps had to say goodbye to a number of players and really played with a very short lineup on Thursday night. Only had a couple of guys that were available should anything happen to their starters. And and so now the reinforcements have arrived, and let's talk a little bit about what the Tin Caps are going to receive from Lake Elsinore, because when rosters were shuffled, because it didn't just affect the Tin Caps as far as losing players via the trade. It happened in San Antonio too, where they had a number of pitchers that ended up being traded. And so there was a big reorganization of the Padres minor league rosters. And you had three key Tin Caps, actually four, but three pitchers that all went to San Antonio. And all three probably deserved it, but it's just kind of tough when you don't have the reinforcements ready to go. So making the making the move to San Antonio. First of all, Miguel Mendez, who pitched Thursday night, he was outstanding and has been ever since he arrived here in Fort Wayne. An ERA under 1.40. He sparkled again on Thursday with six stellar innings, and he just was better than this level. He pitched better than high A, and that's why he's moving up. Actually, I'll be honest, I'm surprised with all of the pitchers that the Padres traded that Mendez wasn't one of the most highly sought after by opposing clubs. I'm sure, I've got to believe his name came up. And I got to think that the Padres have some lofty expectations for Mendez because they must have kept him off the board as far as trade talks. And there wasn't much off the board. I mean, if you look at what the Padres did in in trades, I mean, think about this. Okay, the the Padres, all year long, you've got a top 30 list. That's your top 30 prospects that are part of an organization. And that list, it's updated a couple of times throughout the season, but the Padres top 30 list, of that top 30 list, 5 of the top 7 and 7 of the top 13 were traded. It included number 1, Leo DeVries, number 3, Braden Nett, who pitched here in Fort Wayne not too long ago. Boston Bateman was at number 4, left-handed pitcher. Cobb Hightower, who was a standout out in Lake Elsinore, he's number 6. Ryan Berger, who's been to the show off and on, had some starts out in San Diego. He's number 7. And then it continues with Tyson Neighbors, the guy who started this season as the TinCaps closer, and Henry Baez, who also has been a starter here in Fort Wayne recently. So that's 7 of the top 13, 8 of the top 17. And then even from that top 30 list, Brandon Valenzuela, a former TinCaps catcher, and Victor Figueroa, who was playing in Lake Elsinore, he was traded. He was at number 29. So a lot of the top prospects were dealt, but Miguel Mendez, a young live arm, can throw at 98, 99. He's hit 100 multiple times this year with his fastball. Can mix it with a slider. He's shown pretty good command throughout the year. I mean, he's a guy who the Padres are obviously very high on because he was not part of the trades, and I am sure his name had to come up. One of these organizations had to know enough that if they were going to target players out of the Padres system, Miguel Mendez would have been one of the players on that list. But Mendez, after not being traded, still departs because he goes to San Antonio along with starter Eric Yost. So the TinCaps lose 2 of their top starters in the 6-man rotation. And then they lose their closer on the back end who, I mean, he's like a Sharpie. When he comes into the game, it's pretty well all said and done because Garrett Hawkins has gone 25 straight appearances. And I think it's 34 innings where he has not allowed a run. I do know for a fact the last time he allowed a run, it was in April. I mean, he's gone over 3 months without allowing a single run in an appearance. And he was quite simply one of the key reasons why the TinCaps won on Thursday night. And so you look at the key players on Thursday night. Mendez with his start, Hawkins with his finish. He picked up the win and had 2 scoreless innings in the 9th and the 10th. And Brandon Butterworth knocking in Leo DeVries. All 4 key players from that win on Thursday no longer are Fort Wayne TinCaps. So the reinforcements have made it into town. Let's talk a little bit about who those reinforcements are going to be and try to get to know them before we see them. And first of all, a highly touted catcher, Lamar King, who, he's a guy that's got all the tools, offensively, defensively. He's hitting about 300, 286 average, 24 doubles, 4 home runs, 18 of 21 in stolen bases. So he's a catcher that can run. But, I have heard nothing but positives about Lamar King. He is one of the real standout catchers in the Padres organization. Remember, the Padres have Ethan Salas. So he should be an exciting player to see get behind the dish, and I would probably expect him to be the catcher tonight at Parkview Field. Also, Zach Evans, who primarily a third baseman, 296 average, 20 doubles, 3 homers, 62 runs batted in. That is highly productive, and that's one area where the TinCaps have struggled this year, is knocking in runs when they get runners in scoring position. 14 of 17 in stolen bases, so he too can run. And then Cason Wells, another guy that is coming into town. Wells, a 275 average with 8 doubles, couple of triples, 3 homers. He can fly, 28 of 29 in stolen bases. I mean, when he goes, he doesn't get caught. 28 of 29 in stolen bases at Lake Elsinore. So, should be some good reinforcements. The one thing that is missing is pitching. Now, here's the problem you've got, because a lot of times, you can put in position players that were recently drafted and already signed. And that's what the TinCaps are doing. Take a college guy who's had 4 years of college. He's probably already at a ball level. And so he's either high A or low A. And so you can fill in the rosters with the position players. But the pitchers, often because of the college season starting so early, and having burned so many innings for 2025 in the spring college season, a lot of times pitchers don't have a lot of innings left in the arm for what the organization is going to be comfortable putting them out there. And they've got to be evaluated, and you've got to, talk to your sports science people and your medical staff, and then maybe your pitching coach to figure out where you put your pitchers and who's got innings available. Hopefully, the TinCaps do get some help because, again, they lost 2 starters and they lost their closer. Now, we did see that Misael Tamariz, who is a guy with AAA talent, he pitched 4 years of AAA baseball, recently released, and the Padres picked him up. They've got him in Fort Wayne right now, and he is high 90s, and he can bring it. He can bring it. He could possibly be the closer. In fact, that's kind of a role I would not be surprised he steps into. But we saw him last night. We saw him a couple of nights ago. But it is kind of a new look team. And that's not always bad, because a lot of these guys get their chance. They've earned a call up. Now they get their chance to prove themselves at the higher level. And they don't want to make the organization look like they made a mistake by moving them up. And so they're very motivated. And the TinCaps not out of the running for a second half playoff spot. It's going to be a challenge unless they get the starting pitching solidified, because right now they just don't have the arms, bodies, or numbers to be able to probably get through 6 full games each week. But hopefully that will be resolved here soon to figure out who's staying, who's going, and who's filling in the innings for the TinCaps. All right, we got to talk about the Fever, what kind of week they had. A big win at home on Wednesday against the Phoenix Mercury. Of course, the story of the night with the Fever was the return of Dewana Bonner. And you all remember the story of Dewana Bonner, slipped away from the team. She was out because of personal reasons. Eventually, it was revealed that she was not happy in Indiana. She was one of the big free agent signings that came in. She was supposed to be kind of some experience in that locker room, some veteran presence, somebody who was familiar with Coach Stephanie White, having played for her in Connecticut. But it didn't work. And she decided she was not happy in Indiana. Of course, she got booed by the fans. I mean, anybody that turns their back on you and leaves you and said, I didn't like it there. And it's not like she's complained or she's had any kind of, major accusations against any one individual or against the fan base, but you're going to get booed. That's sports. You turned your back on our organization. We're going to show you what we think about people that turn their back on us, and we're going to boo you. That's just human nature. But what I found interesting and ironic in this game is that Ari McDonald, who is only on the roster because of the departure of Dewana Bonner, Ari McDonald came in and was an injury replacement for Caitlin Clark early in the year. Then the Fever had to release her because they didn't have a roster spot once Clark came back healthy. But within days, Dewana Bonner was traded, and it opened up a roster spot. And Ari McDonald immediately got signed to a full contract. So when you look at the irony in this, McDonald scores 27 points against Phoenix, led the Fever in scoring. Dewana Bonner, 4 points on 1-for-4 shooting from the field against the Fever. Fever won the game. And then they made it 4 in a row with a victory at Dallas last night. 88-78. And Kelsey Mitchell with a solid performance. But again, Ari McDonald continues to shoot the ball well, had 15 points, and I think she was 4 for 6 from three. So Fever kind of on a roll as they're on the road, and got the win last night against Dallas. All right, that's pretty much it for now. Great baseball game last night, by the way, with the Yankees and the Marlins. I don't know if anybody caught it, but great drama. The Yankees, they they go up. The Marlins fight their way back. Jacob Marcy, former TinCap, made his Major League Baseball debut, hit a key double, also walked a couple of times. Good night for Jacob Marcy in his debut. Did have a play in center field where he went back and probably could have and should have made the catch, but it went over his head. But not an error. It ended up being, I think, a double for the Yankees. But a wild one last night, a walk-off victory for the Marlins over the Yankees down in Miami. I don't know why I mentioned that. Just my son has been blowing up my phone this morning because he goes to Marlins games down there, living in the Fort Lauderdale area. So he's had some fun following the Marlins, and it's not always fun following the Marlins, but it's kind of a young team that's easy to root for, even if they don't have great success, even if they don't have a huge fan base. It's easy in and out of the stadium. Ticket prices are still pretty reasonable. So, it's worth going to a Major League Baseball game once in a while. Coming up tomorrow, we have our live show. By the way, what do you think of the new studio look here? Changing things up a little bit. Going with the blue studio as opposed to doing the show in the office. I may go back to the office and do the show tomorrow. Not sure. Give me your opinion on what you like, don't like of what we're doing here. By the way, make sure you subscribe. Got to get those subscribers. And make sure you also share the channel with your friends on social media. That's easy to do. And give us the thumbs up. If you've got a comment, we'll try to get to it on tomorrow's live show. Just drop that in the comments below. And have a terrific Saturday. We'll talk to you again tomorrow live right here on the Sports Rush.